Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. I have learned something in my journey that everything we need is within us now. The answers, you think about them, you got trying to pick this or that, choice A or B, can't come up with the answer. You have the answer. You just need to find the answer within. She is somebody that can help us do just that. And she also helps many deal with grief. And with grief comes a lot of anxiety and really getting in touch with your body as well to kind of figure things out. Can't wait to talk with her again. Georgena Grace is back on the program with us. Georgena, welcome. How are you doing today?
I am wonderful in this moment. So grateful to hear what you've shared with the listeners already, Steve. It'll be fun to build on it.
Yeah, I want to go right there. I want to go dig deep into it immediately. Call it a gut feeling, call it your intuition. I've tried to get better at listening to it or interpreting it, because this gets in the way of this, which is this is giving you the answer. It knows what, it knows what you want and what you need. This gets in the way. So how do you get your head out of there? How do you get out of your head so you can more easily listen to what the answer is?
You get out of your head and into your body.
Yeah.
And the simplest way to do that, as we've spoken before, is with the breath. So that cleansing breath where people exhale loudly and then breathe in through the nose, noticing the temperature of the air, and breathe out through the nose, noticing the temperature of the air. And what that does is it gets us as far as the nose on our face, Steve. And that's what we're talking about today. All of us speak in a language, the language of metaphor, a figure of speech. And really, metaphor is the gateway from the mind into the body. And metaphor is the bridge of life. But we don't stop and think about it and realize what's there. So your question was, how do we get out of the mean mind and into the body? The first thing is with that cleansing breath. The next thing is for people to simply stop and scan their body and notice in this moment, what is there an ache, a pain, a stiffness, or a sensation? And by going to that part of the body and naming it, it can take us into metaphor. For example, how many of the people listening right now have a pain in their neck? A tightness in their neck. So who or what is the pain in your life?
Yeah.
Who in your life is your pain in the neck?
Who?
You don't have to answer it on the air.
I got it.
I'm saying that to our listeners. You see, so many times people come into my office with tightness in their shoulders because they are people who have been shouldering the responsibility of the family. So many of us, as little ones in the families we were raised in, took on responsibility that wasn't ours. But we saw that if we did X, Y, Z, mom would be soothed, or dad would smile and be delighted. And so what we did was we assumed these roles that were what we did as children that may no longer fit or serve us as adults.
100%. And my wake up was when a friend of mine who I've known her since I was literally 17. And she's a therapist. And she said to me not too long ago, I call it a couple of years ago in my journey, she said, those people don't serve you anymore. And when I heard her say it, it was almost like, whoa, ooh, that feels dirty. Like, like you are a royalty and those people don't serve me anymore. That was my picture of it. But then when I thought about it, what she's trying to say is they don't fit in your life anymore. Things change, and now it's time to change, the landscape of your relationships. But yeah, Georgina, to your point, you gotta analyze what is serving you, what is working for you, and what necessarily is not.
And I've described this to other people is one person may be on the network channel of ABC. One person may be on the network channel of NBC. We each have our programming, and there's different programs on different channels. And so what once worked in this relationship is no longer working. I described my experience when my husband now of 37 years and I chose to divorce as two trees growing in two different directions. Now, when you stop and listen to that languaging, it's much more kind than, no, they don't serve you anymore.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
And you just it's not a fit. It's not a fit.
that's it. It's simply not a fit. And we stop and think about us as creatures, we outgrow our clothes when we're
Hmm.
children. And so that's just what it is. The snake grows, its skin doesn't. It has to shed its skin or it will die. And that's all we're talking about here. Unless it's done with a great deal of judgment, but we go back to what I've talked about so many times. When we're curious, why doesn't
Hmm.
this fit anymore? It was so neat. I have, as one of the things that nurture me, many wonderful friends. And I had a friend that I spoke to this morning that I used to talk to every Tuesday morning. And so we had a nice time. I simply told her that for me, talking on the phone is no longer nurturing like it used to be. And I said, I just want to check out that we're okay with this new schedule we've gone to. She said, of course. And
Hmm.
so it was an organic kind of shift. Shifts happen. So
I've heard, and I don't know if you've heard this as well, that we reevaluate our lives, relationships every 5 years.
and I've
And
heard seven. So,
hold
yes.
on, hold on,
Okay.
I'm
All
getting to
right. Okay.
that. And they call it the 7 year itch in relationships, marriages,
Hmm.
because you reevaluate every 5 years, but it takes you typically 2 years to act on it.
Yes.
And that comes in the 7 year itch. And then
Hmm.
I've also heard there's a 9 year evaluation within ourselves too. We're like, where am I? What am I doing? So we might be even doing these things and even thinking whether people serve us or not, and not even realize that we're doing it.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And going back to how do we get out of our mind and bring the body in to the awareness of these decisions? I had a client in my office the other day who is in grief. And she had been invited for a dinner on a Saturday evening. And she said, I felt into it and it drained my energy. It didn't renew my energy. And that's what I've been teaching my clients. Is this draining your energy or is it renewing? So
Hmm.
you had said, do I think my way through whether or not I'm going to, take this dinner invitation? How do we get out of our mind? How do we allow our body to support us to make these decisions?
How do we hear it? How do we? That's what I struggle with. And there are some times I'm, thinking about a situation now in my life where I kind of know the answer, but I'm also trying to deny the answer because it's not the one
Mm-hmm.
I want. But I'm going my gut. And my gut is saying, yeah, I don't really know about that. Um, that one's a little more clear for me. But then there are others where you just want to hear the answer, but maybe you can't. You just
Mm-hmm.
can't tap into it. Can't get into that channel for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Try breathing and maybe call it a little meditation, just taking a moment. Um, any other thoughts to get to the point where you start trusting your decisions?
Well, you to expand on the meditation, take 3 minutes and do the breathing. Put your tongue up on the roof of your mouth as if it is just, laying there flat. And then ask the question, what do I need to know right now? And see what comes. That takes 3 minutes total. You can even set your timer. The other thing that can happen is going out in nature. Now, I know many of our listeners live in the city, but is there a park nearby? Is there a rooftop garden on the place that you live or work? And I was just reading this morning about Wayne Dyer, who shared how he was teaching in New York City and would get overwhelmed. And so he'd go to the park for 15 minutes and come back. And remember how, Steve, you and I have talked about feeling our feet. You go to that park bench, you put your feet on the ground, you do the breathing, and then you say, what do I need to know right now? Because all of us are more powerful than we have any idea.
100%. And a lot of us look at the nature things like, well, come on, but like that's going to make a difference. Yes, it will. And there's a reason why we say things. Yeah, I got to get back into nature. I need to get grounded. It's all going to happen when you go outside. It's all going to happen when you go outside. And I sold a house last summer. I would spend a ton of time in my backyard, and I just renovated it and planted. You would never find a weed. It was like perfect. Part of it was my pride, but now looking back, I realized that I would walk barefoot. I don't care if I'm going to step on something. I'm walking barefoot, i.e. grounded, but I didn't know what I was doing then.
Yes.
Hands in the dirt and working with stuff. I was in therapy. It was
You were.
great. It was fantastic. Yeah. So there is something without a doubt, Georgena, to be said about that. You need to get outside and just, and just get into nature.
Absolutely. And then each of us have 3 centers in our body. We've got the brain, we've got the heart center, and we've got the gut. And so it's an opportunity for us in that place of confusion, as I said earlier, to scan your body and notice if there's a specific part calling for attention, or focus in on your heart and put your hands literally in the center of your chest. I have my right hand on my chest and my left hand resting on top of it, and simply doing that cleansing breath, the 3 minutes. Okay, this time the question is, heart, what do I need to know?
I like what you're saying here, in that you've used the word now. What do I need to know now? Because that focuses your brain, your subconscious, away from the past and the future, which is going to muck things up in your decision or trying to interpret what is your gut feeling. So if what do I need to know now? Yeah, there might be something you need to know a little bit later, but we're not worried about that. It's in the now. And I think that kind of helps us go, like with the breathing and taking 3 minutes, kind of gets us, call it, centered right here to look for the answer.
Absolutely. And the answer is always within. The reason my company is called Integrated Wellbeing Institute is that well-being is our inner peace. It's always there. We forget to go to the well.
Yeah. Yeah, we do, because we don't trust it.
Yeah.
And it's funny, even all as a kid growing up, even up until 5 years ago, you go to church or you hear this, around, peace be with you. Peace be with you. I didn't get it. In other words, yeah, okay, peace, whatever.
Yes.
Until you realize, OMG, I need peace in my life. Until you find that you need it. And then when you find it, it's like, oh, there it is. I got it. Yeah, I'm better. I'm better now.
Exactly. And look at the depth of this discussion in less than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That have given our listeners so many tools, and we haven't even talked about the 5 metaphor maps that I've created that allow people to go in to the directions of their body. What's right, what's happening on the right side of your body, what's happening on the left side of the body. When I'm with clients and ask them to move their head to the right and then to the left, listening deeply, which side moves with more ease? And very often, what is happening that's right in my life when it's easier to move to the left, the right, or what is there left for me to look at when it's easier to move to the left? And so those are the kinds of things that this work and this institute teaches people, because as you said at the beginning, all the answers are within us. We just don't know how to listen. We don't know the body's language. And that's what this is all about, because then it empowers every single person to be there, to listen to that guidance
Well,
within.
listen and trust, because you
Yeah.
may get to the point where you are hearing your body and what it's trying to tell you in terms of the answer, but you might not trust the answer. Do you think it's reasonable, Georgena, to get inside your heart and even on a simple question? What should I have for dinner tonight? What restaurant should I go to? Should I go to the Mexican place or should I go to the Italian place? And listen to what's within and the feeling that you get, baby steps here, I guess, where I'm going, get it?
Sure,
Where I'm going.
absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful process out there called muscle testing, and the
Yes.
body is an electrical system. So for those people, the simplest, there's 3 different ways to muscle test and more, actually 4 that I teach. But the easiest one is to face the direction north. And when you're by yourself, and say, is my name whatever your name is? And notice the direction your body moves slightly. Does
So,
it
okay,
move?
let's go back to that. I think they call it the sway test.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
yes.
So
Mhm.
you're standing up and you're comfortable, but you're standing there. And
Right.
then you ask yourself a true question and see which way you're just
Yes,
swaying.
exactly. And I like to calibrate with 5 true questions.
Ah,
My name, the time of day, the place I'm in, what kind of shoes I'm wearing or something I'm wearing. All right. And
hmm.
then the 5th question will just come. So that's your 5. And so what we're doing is calibrating first. And then you ask the no question. My name is um, Elizabeth. No, it's not my name. And I'm, swimming in the moment, da 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 da. So
Right.
those 5 questions. So then you've got a true yes and you've got a true no. You do the cleansing breath and
Mm.
then you ask the question about the restaurant. And it gets to the place where you don't even have to do any of the calibration. It's just there as part of your natural process.
I've done this before and with mixed results because I wonder, am I really hearing the answer in the
Mhm,
sway?
mhm,
Am I intentionally going or not? And I
mhm.
think what would be different is the cleansing breath. It's almost like I'm hitting the reset button before I do this.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And you see over time then you can truly begin to trust. To trust is like a muscle. We have to exercise it with intention.
Yeah.
In the now, can I trust what can I trust in this present moment? And it goes back to self-awareness is what we've been talking about this morning. And self-awareness happens in the present moment and it deepens when we listen to the body and its language, which is metaphor.
Hmm. I know we're almost out of time here. I know that you had 5 to get to metaphor connections. I don't know if we're going to have enough time for that. So maybe we should table that. I don't know. That being said, how about other muscle testing techniques.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
this one, and I trying to think of what I think it's connected to K something, but it's the one where you try to break the link
Yes. Yes.
with a
Yes.
true or false question,
Right.
right?
Right. So you simply take your index finger and your thumb and make a connection. And it's not intense connection. Then you take the index finger of your other hand, and right now I'm using my dominant hand as the circle, and which is my right hand, my non-dominant hand as the straight finger. You lay your finger at that point where the index finger and the thumb
Mhm.
touch, and then you ask the question, and if it's a yes, you'll stay strong, and if it's a no, it'll break through. It's as simple as that.
Hmm.
And
A-
again, mhm,
After the cleansing breath.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And the by the way, with this one is it's very important once again, if this is the first time you've ever done this, to do the 5-question calibration. Is me staying strong my yes? Or for some people, it may be their no. Okay. So
First time
we're,
I've ever heard that.
yeah, because each of us are unique. Each of us have our own system within. And this is just simply an adventure to discover more of who we are and the power of who we are.
What if, now I'm going to throw a proverbial monkey wrench into the system. I do sports with my left hand. If I throw a ball, I bite with my
Hmm.
right hand.
Hmm.
We say this is the dominant hand.
See, you're mixed dominant.
So,
Hmm.
but that goes back to what you said, that
Yes.
the yes or the no,
Hmm.
it could be reversed. I've
Exactly.
I've never
It,
heard that before. And
uh-huh.
that's probably or maybe why I've had mixed results in trying to do that particular test.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And so, as our time together comes to a close today, I'm going to invite people then to once again scan your body in this moment and simply
Hmm.
notice what is happening in your shoulders or what's happening in your chest. And just begin to be with that part of yourself, deep listening. Because you see what happens is you go into a state of quiet presence. And when you come back out of that state, what is the world like if each of us has the ripple of quiet presence, peaceful presence?
I can share with you in the turmoil that I've in my journey we've all gone through. There have been times where situations were about to take place where it could be very impactful, life changing on my end. In the last year and a half or so. And I got to a point where just what you're saying, this is why I'm bringing it up. I call it my quiet calm.
Mm-hmm.
I could freak out, worry about it. If you saw me 5 years ago, 10, whatever, I probably would. But I'm just like, yeah, got this. We're good. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
I do the right thing. The universe will support. It has since all along the way in the journey, and it's the quiet
Mm-hmm.
calm. And I remember
Yeah.
one day walking out, similar today, was just turning into spring, walking outside where, wow, I can't believe I got to deal with it. I'm like, whoa, you're doing the right thing, dude. You got a quiet calm. It's going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, and the time after that, and the time after that.
And how lovely that you walked outside and you got also the reflection back from you of the quiet calm. I
Yeah.
remember the night that my son Reed was banned from the basketball team, failed the breath test. And before that happened, there was this immense, I call it the powerful, peaceful presence that came over me. And in that whole situation, I was solid as a rock. And then what did I go home to? I went home to the worst thing I've ever experienced in my entire life.
Any
seeing
parent
your
would. Yeah.
right. And so but I go back to that gift of the peace that came out of nowhere. It was an absolute gift to me. And I would go back to that feeling in my body, even though my heart was shattered and da da da. There would be times that I could go back to it, especially when I would go for my early morning walk.
Isn't it interesting that we remember that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And I do believe that is that moment for you, for me, we remember it because we need it.
Mm-hmm.
Because other
Mm-hmm.
times come up, in your life, and I guess this goes back to that the trust in yourself. Like, I remember
Yes.
the time that, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I had it then, I got it now. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. It'll be all right. It's good. That supports me.
Yes. And that's what we're all about. The support is there. Even sitting on your chair, notice how your hips are supported by the chair.
Right.
And then lean back and feel how far up your back the chair has you. Life has us.
Yeah. Fantastic talking with you today. And I have to tell you, I know that you help people deal with grief, but I never knew you ran that deep in terms of, the muscle test, the sway test, and all of the metaphors and everything. So, Georgena, what's your website?
My website is integratedwellbeinginstitute.com.
And you are available. Anybody going through some challenges, even be
Yes.
it anxiety, dealing with grief, you are the go-to person in my world. There's not even a doubt. Like, you have the passion, and now I see you have the technique to
Oh,
help
yes.
people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I've learned so much today.
Good. I'm so glad. There's more to be discovered. The whole vision of the company is that we can allow ourselves the freedom to fully feel. The body is the path to the present, and curiosity is that path to self-compassion. So be curious when you do that cleansing breath in that 3 minutes.
Without a doubt. And, I always say, be curious like a kid. If you never lose that curiosity, life will be so much better.
Yes, absolutely.
Georgena, great having you on today. And I appreciate you and look forward next time we talk.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Steve. You take deep care.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.